It's important in these circumstances never to give up hope, but trying to carry on so far underwater without enough oxygen is a terrifying thought. I was going to say it's an unimaginable thought, but it's not unimaginable for my next guest, because the North Sea diver, Chris Lemons, survived for 35 minutes on a 6-minute emergency air tank 100 metres down on the seabed. This is a story with a happy ending, and after being rescued, Chris survived to keep on working and get married and live his life. There is a documentary about it called Last Breath. But really, Chris, first of all, your thoughts on the recovery of debris in the Atlantic tonight?
Well, it's certainly a worrying development, isn't it? I think, like a lot of people, we did hold out hope. As you say, if my story tells you anything, that it's remarkable what can happen, particularly in terms of the gas consumption, and that could have been extrapolated much further, much longer than people thought. But yeah, my worry from the start really was the fact that they hadn't sent up any kind of emergency beacon which would have helped their location, or that my understanding is they had various ways of releasing the ballast on the submarine as well, and the fact that they hadn't done that, or seemingly hadn't done that, because we hadn't been able to locate them on the surface, did suggest the word in terms of some kind of implosion. But we don't know that's the case, so I think we have to, until we know that for certain, that hope has to be maintained, and I'm sure the rescuers will be doing exactly that.
And of course, at this stage, nobody wants to give up hope. And thinking of your story, as you say, that really is the lesson. You were on something called an umbilical cord, which, as the name suggests, is your complete supply line, and it snapped. And you fell, I think, to the ocean bed. Just try to relive, it may be traumatic, but try to relive for us what happened to you then and what you remember about it then.
Yeah, it does. It resonates. I think what's happening to them to some extent. I didn't have that sort of length of time, but yeah, exactly as you described. In a slight difference to them, we are attached as divers to the vessel we're working from by an umbilical cord, as you described, which gives us an essentially infinite supply of breathing gas and hot water to heat suits and light and power. And mine, due to a sort of a loss of control of the ship, ended up being snapped. And as you described, I was left with about maybe 6-7 minutes of gas, and it took them about 45 minutes to get back to me. So I was saved really by the gas I was breathing, the very high partial pressures of the oxygen in the gas that we breathe at that depth, and obviously the cold water as well. But yeah, it was, it mirrors it in some ways, in that, we go down to work every day with that sense of adventure, I guess, of going into this wonderful ethereal place to ply our trade. But that sense of wonder very quickly disappeared for me when you find yourself in a very isolated and very lonely and dark place. So yeah, if that's the case for them, then I have sympathy. Yeah.
Hugely dark, and you thought you were running out of time. You felt you could not be rescued in time. So what was going through your mind in those last moments? Well, they weren't last moments, but what might have been last moments?
Yeah, they certainly felt like it. Yeah, it was remarkable, really. There was a passage where, and I wonder if this has been the same for them, where there was without doubt there was panic and fear. But when I did come to realise that rescue seemed very improbable at best, and I sort of resigned myself almost to what seemed like the inevitable at the time, that was going to be an imminent death. It had a strangely calming effect for me. I think it regulated my breathing almost automatically. The fear slipped out of me, and it was. I remember feeling grief and loss, and a sense of a disbelief, definitely, that I'd found myself, or that this was happening to me in this such a strange and alien place. Yeah, it seemed surreal at the time, but I remember being fairly calm and resigned to my fate.
And then the rescue happened.
Indeed, and then the rescue happened, and yeah, that was remarkable. They managed to haul me back up to the one safe haven we have in the work that we do, which is the diving bell, which we is our taxi to work effectively. And they managed to regain control of the vessel and put that over the top of me. And one of my colleagues was able to pull my unconscious body back into a breathable environment. And just a couple of rescue breaths, and I was very, very fortunate to come round, relatively well, and without any sort of signs of brain damage as well, which was obviously a significant concern. But yeah, I mean, I think, so miraculous, really. Not that I like that word particularly, but yeah.
Well, certainly a story of hope and a story of courage. Thank you very much indeed, Chris Lemons, for sharing that with us tonight.